Greetings YouTube, LMS Tactical here. Hope you guys are doing good. I know I'm yelling because sometimes when I record, the air conditioner in my truck drowns out my voice and people get mad, and we can't have that. All right, serious topic today, and you know, before I make my point, I'm gonna like go off into a million different tangents. I got a buddy of mine, crusty old retired LAPD sergeant, who sends me emails all the time talking about why don't I make my fucking point, and you know, you meander all over the place on your videos, that's why I don't watch them, I'm not going to send them to anybody, and you know, blah 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 blah. I'm not going to give you his, you know, his first name or anything, but his initials are Roger. And Roger, fuck you. You know you watch my videos, otherwise how the fuck would you know that I never got to my point? Bam! Anyways, all right, here's what happened. I got to give a lot of disclaimers before I make the fucking point, so hang on. I am like obviously way behind the curve here in terms of fucking news, and it was about this family. If you haven't seen it, it's this family-owned business, Red Jacket Firearms in Louisiana, and it was this good old boy named Will Hayden, I think. His grown daughter and then a couple of guys, and they would make these custom weapons for, you know, try to get contracts with law enforcement, the military, and celebrities and shit. They would do all, I mean, everything, man. Grenade launchers, fucking, you know, fully automatic machine guns, MG 240s. And then it just disappeared. I mean, like in 2014, it just fell off the radar, and I noticed it, but, you know, I never looked into it. I've been looking at YouTube videos since I found out the big news, which, if you don't know, I'm going to tell you in a second. Screw you, Roger. And, you know, a lot of people are, oh, I always thought the guy was weird. Now, the father that owned the shop, I always thought he was just kind of contrived and fake and sort of trying to be a real tough guy. There was just something about him. I never pegged him for the criminal that he turned out to be. Fast forward, I just get the news just a couple days ago, and I just got shocked. I mean, not because I'm, you know, naive, but, you know, you buy into a show for years and you start to feel like you know people, and you're like, oh, this is good guys and this is awesome company. Bottom line is the guy just got sentenced to like 400 years plus 2 life sentences plus 45 years for raping his 3 daughters. And I mean, as if that's not bad enough, this is like back when they were between the ages of like 6 and 12 or something like that. Now they're all grown up now. And I don't know the whole background as far as how it came to light, but I'm pretty close when I say that. I guess 2 of them brought charges against the dad. And then the daughter that was on the show, she finally copped out that it happened to her too. And she's like 32, 33, something like that. The dude is like 54. He's a year younger than me. And the judge sentenced him to like forever. I mean, the guy, basically the judge said, you know, I'm going to sentence you so long your soul's never going to get out of prison. And he's in Angola prison in Louisiana, not a good place. No prison is good for fucking child molesters, but man, I don't think he's going to last too long in that place. Which is a good thing if he's guilty, and I gotta believe he is. So there's all kinds of side topics too about, geez, you know, they probably set him up because they want the money and blah blah blah. You can read the comments on all the different YouTube videos and all the theories and shit. You know, yes, it's true, a lot of people have been found guilty of molesting their kids only to find out later, you know, they got exonerated when it turned out that some psychiatrist bullshitted the little kid, manipulated him into, or her into, making statements that weren't true. So there are false allegations made and people's lives are ruined, but you know, there's a lot of freaking weirdos out there too that do this. My argument about the daughters conspiring against the dad because they didn't like him or whatever, I don't buy it, because the odds of getting 3 people, cocksucker, I'm making a video, the odds of getting 3 people to agree on some sick, you know, allegations like that would literally destroy somebody. I don't think it's possible. You know, the old thing where there's smoke, there's fire. Anything's possible, but I'm assuming the guy's guilty, and what a shit stick. Okay, a little bit more background. I have some experience with this kind of thing. Now, my ex-wife and I were married for almost 20 years. And I don't want to get all personal about her situation, but suffice to say, she was a victim of the same type of child abuse. And it went on from, you know, very, very, very young all the way up until she was like 18 when I married her. But anyways, you know, she kept that secret too. And I learned a lot about that. You know, You know, I had her seeing, you know, psychologists and blah, blah, blah. And then I read a lot of books about it. And I realized that there are certain characteristics that are really predominant in child abuse, especially sexual abuse victims. They become excellent liars because they've been keeping secrets their whole life, you know. So that played a part in the destruction of my marriage, I can tell you that, because there were certainly some big secrets going on that old LMS didn't know about. But when he found out, he cut ties and fled to Virginia. Anyways, I'm married again, though, for you new people, and couldn't be happier. But you know, my son and I were talking about this, and we were talking about back when they were very, very young, and I had, you know, I knew what happened to their mom, and then I had seen things at work, you know, as a cop. And, you know, we arrested everybody for child molestation. Any priest, doctor, you name it. Everybody's done. There's, you know, in all walks of life and all demographics, there's every kind of criminal. So I remember I sat them down. They were all sitting in front of my wife and I basically had the conversation like this. And this is what the video is for, is to give you an option if you haven't discussed this with your kids, a way to break the ice. I said the standard things, you know, hey, is it okay for somebody to touch you, you know, on the parts that are covered by your bathing suit or your underwear? You know, I was more specific. I mean, you know how I am. I was just basically like, hey, is it okay, appropriate for anybody, an older person, another kid, an adult to touch you where your pee-pee is and all this other stuff? And of course, they're so cute, you know, these little identical twins and my daughter, and they're like, no, Daddy, that's wrong. Because, you know, I had obviously I'd had a few other talks but they were just getting a little bit older. And I said, okay, that's right. I said, now what about if it's me? What if it's your dad? And of course they both go, well, yeah, of course, Dad, because you're our dad. And their jaws fell open when I said, no, it's not right. And they were like, but Dad, I said, now hear me out. I wanted to shock them, and I was being honest. I wanted to impress upon them, and my son just got done telling me how he remembered that whole thing and how it was effective. And I said to him, you know, are all criminals childless, or are some daddies criminals? And they thought about it. Well, yeah, I guess some daddies would be criminal. I said, okay, so I'm not a criminal, but if I was a criminal, I guess I wouldn't admit to it, would I? So I said, the bottom line is, and I went through the whole thing, I said, if you are ever with anybody, whether it's your mom, I said, what about if your mom does it? Is that okay? And then now they know that they're on to me, and they're like, no. And I said, you got to look at the whole picture. I said, if you feel weird about anything, something you don't even know what it is, but it just feels wrong, whether it's your dad, your mom, your uncle, your aunt, whoever, the babysitter, you have got to say stop, and you've got to tell an adult, hopefully your mom or your dad, but no matter who it is, you tell your teacher, you tell the nurse at school, you know, you have to trust your instincts. And then I asked him, I said, is it okay for a doctor to touch you under any circumstances on your bottom or your pee-pee? And of course, now they're trying to get the right answer, and they said, no. And I said, well, shut the fuck up. I said, actually, doctors have to be able to touch every part of you. There are doctors that specialize in pee-pees, you know, urologists. But, you know, they laughed. But I said, here's the deal. I said, has a doctor ever molested a kid? And now they know, and they're like, yes. And I said, yeah. I said, it's rare, just like it's rare for a policeman to do it, but policemen have done it. People are human, and there's criminals doing every kind of job. I said, so one way to avoid that is make sure you have your parents with you, or a parent with you when you're going to have a physical exam. And no matter what happens, always tell somebody, and let them, so that you don't have to make these hard decisions. Let somebody that you trust evaluate the situation. Now, I know what some of you are thinking. You know, yes, there have been people that, you know, vindictive little kids that grew up and said, you know, their parents got divorced, they got pissed off at daddy, and they made shit up and made allegations. But the truth is, you want to empower little kids. You want to empower them to think for themselves and to trust their instincts, because it's not just about getting molested. It's about trusting your instincts in any situation that's going to keep them alive. Remember, that's what this channel is about, tactics for life, not just on the battlefield or in a gunfight. I'm just encouraging you each, if you have young children, have you don't have to have my discussion with them, but have a discussion with them. And again, you're probably way ahead of me on this, but let's face it, some parents, you know, I've got a video out here on YouTube where I actually hid the camera when I had the sex talk with these two twins of mine when they were really young. It's our favorite video. It's very cool, very cool. I'm glad I hid the camera and did that because their reactions are just priceless. But the point is I found out through the comments on that video, no surprise, some people are not comfortable talking about this kind of stuff with their kids. So it's nothing to be ashamed of, you know. That's why there's books on how to talk about the birds and the bees and how to do this, how to talk about drugs with your kids. So hopefully I've given you something to think about. And, you know, if you guys have ideas and you feel so, you know, if you feel that it's worthwhile, throw them out here in the comments. If you think I'm completely off base, it's too late. The kids are grown. But, yeah, that's it, man. I'm about ready to get to my destination. I hope you guys are having a good week, and I will be back sooner than later. LMS Tactical. Stay safe. I'm out.